This podcast is a quest for well-being, a quest for a meaningful life through the exploration of fundamental truth. Enlightening ideas, insights on physical, mental, and spiritual health. The inspiration is love. The aspiration is to awaken new ways of thinking that can lead us to a new way of being well. Welcome to Body, Mind, and Soul Healing Conversations.
We all have our own unique talents and strengths. However, these are not always recognized or fully developed. Valeria Teles interviews Kathy Bowers, a parenting life coach and speaker. Kathy Bowers is a parenting life coach. In April 2021, she started her own business online called Life Change Coaching. She decided to specialize in supporting parents with parenting issues to ensure they were able to meet all the needs of their children. Love is not enough. The most important thing as human beings is to ensure we raise and meet all the needs of our children. Parents struggle to be able to address all their children's needs, and this can be due to their own upbringing and life experiences and how they experienced being parented, as well as a lack of knowing what to do. Over the years, we develop, from babies to young adults to where we are now. We are individuals, but not all life experiences have been positive or beneficial on our journeys, and we carry baggage. Mental health, addiction, low self-esteem, domestic abuse, isolation, trauma, relationship issues are only a few which have an impact on being a positive individual and a positive parent and role model. Kathy's experience and knowledge comes from working with children and their parents as a nursery nurse, nanny, working in children's homes, day centers, nurseries, infant and primary schools for 20 years, where she was hands-on with the children and their parents. Being a parent of 3 children who are now adults and bringing them up as a single parent, Kathy's own life story has not always been smooth sailing. For over 20 years until 2020, she worked directly with children and their parents and extended family, supporting parents to make life changes for the benefit of their children and themselves. She also worked for social care in children and families as a senior family support worker and family practitioner. The children's needs were not being fully met. Their physical, emotional, social and self-identity, behavior, and mental health impacted them and needed to change. The aim was to support parents to make changes in themselves and recognize the impact this had on their parenting, to look at areas that were lacking in what they were offering their children, and to ensure they met all the needs of the children. Kathy used her life coaching since qualifying in 2018 for 3 years, until she decided to retire and build her own online business to concentrate fully on supporting parents to make positive change. This was when, in April 2021, Life Change Coaching was created. Meet Kathy at life-changing-coaching.co.uk. Here is the interview with Kathy Bowers.
In your own words, who is Kathy Bowers?
Kathy Bowers, well, I'm quite a few things, really. I'm firstly a mum. My children are now grown up. They're all adults. There's 3 of them. I'm also very into animals. I love animals. I've got 2 cats, which are like kids. They're sort of taken over from my children. I'm a very sociable person. I always have been, very optimistic. I love people. I love meeting new people, exploring different situations. I just like life, really. And my sort of cup is always not even half full, more nearly to the top full. And I just like giving, really. I give a lot to people. I'm a holistic therapist. I've been doing that for over 28 years. And with that, I not only do massage, I do crystal healing, and I've into Reiki. And that's one of my favourite things to do is Reiki. I love going for long walks. I'm very into nature, so get me out into the fields or the canals where I live round in London. Go for nice canal walking. Just being in touch with my environment. Yeah, so I suppose that's a little bit of who I am, really. Good sense of humour. Bit crazy sometimes.
That helps very much. I love everything about you. Thank you for being who you are. And my second official question is an open one about life itself. What do you think or feel is the purpose of the human experience? Why are we here?
That's a good one, because since I've been involved in Reiki for the last 10 years, and I've really got into it in the last 3.5 years, I feel there's more to us of just about being on as we are as humans. I think there's a spiritual connection that we don't really know much about, but it's like it's a universe. It's whether people say it's God or something. It's far bigger than we are. I mean, we're here obviously to procreate, reproduction of ourselves, but I believe that we should all be connected. We are connected to each other, and it's learning to accept that and learning to be more connected in giving and caring more about others, because I feel that if everyone was to do that, this place where we live would be a much nicer place.
And I wonder why we have this sense, this feeling of disconnect with life itself, and we come to believe that we are not connected, and then we lead very dysfunctional lives and destructive. We are not just destroying our own lives, but the others and the planet. Do you wonder?
I think we've become too materialistic in lots of ways.
And that's the reason, right, Kathy? That's the main reason.
You know, and we put ourselves, we feel the need for all these materialistic stuff. But since COVID, I think lots of us have learnt that it's not the materialistic items we have, our flash cars, our yachts, our holidays, you know, our designer clothes or whatever. That's not important. It's the people we care about that we love, because unfortunately lots of people have lost loved ones.
Yeah. Do you connect the events in 2020 to the spiritual realm? Is that something that some people say it is connected to spirituality? Would you say so?
Yes, I do. I think it's vital. I mean, the spiritual realm is part of us. It's if you believe in the chakras of our body, and the top one is the third eye, which is our spiritual. There's a reason why we have it. We are all energy. I mean, when I give Reiki and when I receive Reiki, I feel that energy, that connection. And not only does it physically do things in my body, and Reiki has been used for many years now in hospitals, especially for cancer patients and for people who have illness that needs healing. And so not only does it help with their healing, and emotionally it stabilizes them, and they feel sort of warm, they feel loved, they feel comfort, but it's definitely a spiritual connection that goes beyond what we can see or even understand as how we are as human beings.
So it takes a lot of openness, doesn't it, to see that, be able to see that truth, that everything's connected, everything's energy, it's flowing. And then a lot of times I talk and I write about unconditional love, being able to see the big picture of what life is and see everything through the lens of unconditional love. And I wonder if that is possible for not just some of us, but for all of us. Do you think it is, Kathy?
I think it is, but I think it's also very hard, because we've got to be, it's easy to forgive friends and people that we love if they've done us wrong or an injustice, but to actually forgive someone who's really hurt us or physically or emotionally or mentally harmed us, that's unconditional love. And that is a very difficult thing to be able to do. But it is, we are capable of doing it. It's just very hard. And also to be able to forgive ourselves, that again is a very hard thing. And unless we do that, we carry so much guilt, and that obviously eats into us as we are and changes how we could be.
Wow, it has been my experience that it is possible to do that, to love ourselves unconditionally and forgive ourselves and create that space of openness, of clarity, so we can expand that love to others, which seems to me is the only way we can do that. To love others unconditionally, we've got to love ourselves unconditionally first.
So lots of people feel that they don't deserve that, and that's very hard. You know, if you've been told your life, you're not worthy of this.
Yeah, that is sad.
Change that mindset is a very hard thing to do.
One of the things that I used to do was trying to change people around me and convince them, and then I just gave up that long ago. And now I notice that the only life I can live is my own, which I don't even consider my own. I don't have a life, I am life. And with that, it seems like by change that the energies within me, this body, then that can resonate with others and might change others. But that's something that's life doing and not really.
Well, it's like me. I mean, I've learned that you're only in control of your life. You can't make other people do things unless they want to do it. And it's no good living in the past. The past is gone. You can learn from the past, you know, your past mistakes, but you should live for the present, be in this moment that we're in now. And that's the best way to make your decisions, your life choices, and to make your positive choices. And you can plan to a degree in like this moment for your future, but you've got no control over the future because you don't know what's going to happen, you know, in 5 minutes from now. So you have to be in the present, and that's the only thing you can do, is to make sure that you're positive, you mix with positive people, you get that positive energy, because that's the only way things will work out for you. If you live around in a negative life, a negative world, it just pulls you down. You won't get anywhere apart from right to the bottom.
So you are a parenting life coach. What inspired you to become this type of coach?
Well, since the age of 16, I trained as a nursery nurse. I had wanted to become a vet, but the school I went to at that time only let girls do biology, and they said that was because you were going to have children, so that you had to know how your body went when you were pregnant, etc., etc. So I just thought, well, this is no good. I want to be a vet, and you won't allow me to do all the physics and everything. So I thought to myself, well, what is similar to animals? And I thought, children, they need to be cared for. So I trained as a nursery nurse when I was 16. And then all through my life, I mean, I'm now 68, I've worked with children and families in all different situations, with children's homes, private nannying, nursery schools, everything, special needs schools. And then 20 years ago, I decided to work for social care, and I trained as a family support practitioner, which meant that I worked alongside social workers going into homes to help parents turn their life around so that they could meet the needs of their children and to parent in a positive manner to ensure that all their needs of their children were met. And that's what I was doing. And at that time, it was I was doing more mentoring and not completely allowing those parents to do things on their own, because that's what I wasn't aware that they could do. And then I trained as a life coach in 2018. And then I started to use the coaching that I'd learned to completely empower the parents to make all the decisions. And it turned the whole thing on its side, and it went 80% of those families which wouldn't have normally been that positive changed and made the decisions, because the parents had to look at why they weren't parenting. What was it? Was it addictions? Was it something that happened in their own childhood? What was the main thing? Once they sorted that out, parenting got easier and everyone benefited. So I then decided, right, I'm going to now retire from my job last October to do this properly 100%, so I can really concentrate on my coaching and my parenting and nurturing the people that need to be find their ways. So if they were stuck, and they, like most people, you get stuck, friends give you advice and you can sort it. Sometimes you get stuck and it doesn't work, and you have a dream, an aspiration, a goal you want to achieve, but you don't know how to start it. That's why someone like me can come and help. And so I sort of help them with their individual things they need to change. It could be confidence building, self-esteem, creating a business, finding why something isn't working in their business, anything. Or it could be parenting and looking at why are my children not listening to me? What's happening to my teenage? They're going off the rails. I can't communicate with them. And all we're doing is shouting. So it's helping them look at their children as individuals and putting in boundaries that suit them individually, because obviously one rule doesn't fit everybody, and appreciating them, understanding them, and communicating with them on their level, not adult treating a child like they should be like mini adults, because children are not.
Is that what you call positive parenting?
Yes, because, positive parenting is you look at your parenting skills, because there's many forms of how people parent. Some people parent thinking, giving instructions, routines, and that's it. That's a part of it. You have to look at the whole picture of your child, put the child in the center of it, and just think, okay, right, so what is my child's personality? How do they communicate with me? Do they like to play and learn, or do they want to chat with me? Are they more verbal, or are they more introverted? So all those things have to be considered of their type, of their personality. And then again, their age, obviously a 4-year-old is different from an 8-year-old, and an 8-year-old is different from a 10-year-old. So you look at their interests, and it's vital for the parents to really get to know those children, their children, and to engage and do everything at a child-focused age for that child. Don't expect a child of 4 to be the same as a child of 8. When you give them an instruction, it's so common to think you respond immediately. Well, we wouldn't respond immediately if someone asks us. You have to step back, give that child time to think about what's been asked. Maybe you ask too many things in that one sentence. You also have to be able to focus when you're asking with them and they're talking to you. You focus on them 100%. You put that mobile phone down. You look at them in the eye. You give them complete contact with them, and the words you use and how your body language, it says it all to that child. That's the difference between negative parenting, of how you phrase things, which are just real sort of instructions, and it's seen through the adult eye, rather than the positive parenting, which is child-focused language, giving the child a response, giving them encouragement. Don't criticize them. Don't belittle them. Praise and love is what gets you through. And you should always look at your child and see what they're doing and compliment them and say, you've been really good at doing this, even if it's like, oh, you've helped, you put a toy back in the box, or you've managed to pull your sock on, or just really, really offer them encouragement and don't criticize them.
Listening to you, I'm like, oh my God, I wish I had parents like that. And that would have been so amazing. But we cannot choose our parents, so maybe we can, I'm not sure.
I've learned this, Valerie, through my own mistakes. I've also, through my own upbringing, I've had a good upbringing, but there was lots of things that were also wrong with it. And sometimes I rebelled against that, and some of the stuff I took with me into my parenting, which was wrong, which was the smacking and things like that. And I realised after a while, that doesn't get, if smacking a child makes that one thing that you didn't want them to do never be repeated again, then we'd do it. But I soon found out that, okay, I smacked, but that was still being repeated. So what do? It's an adult, much bigger than a child, enforcing abuse. So I had to look at other ways. But also I was very lucky, I think, doing my nursery nursing at the age of 16. I learned the skills which not many parents have the opportunity to do as a first-time parent. I'd already learned. I mean, when I was doing my training, I had lots of my friends who were, say, 17, 18, wanting to have babies very young and seeing the adverts and thinking every baby would be clean, would be smiley. They didn't, and I said, have you ever babysat? And I said, no. But I've been doing that since I was 13. So I could see the difficulties of being a parent and how, I saw the mums I was babysitting for who had the flu and they still had to get up to feed their baby and look after their toddler and all sorts of things like that. So I realised how important it was to be able to do that for your child in the right way.
We talked earlier about self-love, self-care, self-love. Is that a good foundation for positive parenting if we
Definitely.
have that? Yeah.
I mean, in the job before I came to do my full-time coaching, I taught domestic abuse cases, lots of mums, and I did about 2 years of 10 mums in each session, so probably about eight sessions, different people, and it was very much aware that they didn't have love for themselves because lots of them came from families which were broken up. Some were abused. Or even if they were with a family, they weren't sort of functioning together as a unit, as a family unit. And it was really difficult because they'd been through abusive relationships. Some hadn't broken the pattern and maybe gone through 2 or 3. A couple I can think of now, when they had a person who was very loving and was the right person that they needed, they didn't trust that should be for them. So they were sabotaging that. And I remember one lady, she was really lovely, and she suddenly remembered, she said, oh my God, I'm destroying this because I'm not allowing myself to believe I can be loved. And it was a door opening for her because all of a sudden she realised within the group, because they were so supportive, because they all fed back, that you are lovable, you are liked. This isn't what you think you are, you're not. And it was so good to see the impact that had on the whole group. And they realised the value, they realised that they were no longer victims, they were survivors, and that they deserved to be loved. They had that right as a human being to get the best out of life they possibly could.
Makes me think about so many parents who, perhaps even young adolescents who have children, they're not prepared yet. They have a lot of issues of their own. And that becomes a real challenge, educating and parenting their children.
Yeah, I dealt with lots of young parents, single mums and couples. And it's because, they haven't had really a good experience in their own childhood. And their children growing up themselves, they haven't done anything. They haven't really sort of developed. They don't even know what they're capable of in life, to see. And then they have these babies very young and they're lost. They suddenly realise they've got this little being there and they're saying, we can't give it back. I love my baby, but I don't know what to do.
Right. The people that you coach, or the audience you have, your clients, are they more young mothers? The methods or the coaching that you offer, is that for every
It's for
age?
Everyone that's a parent, yes. I mean, as I said, I've got sort of, from I suppose, more sort of mums in their 20s, they seem to have, because obviously they have to pay. So I have asked, I've been on a few groups to see if I can get a sponsor that would be able to pay for sessions, because you get some entrepreneurs that want to give some money back into the system, and it would be great. I've tried social care as well to see if they would be willing to pay for sessions for younger parents and things. But at the moment, I'm not getting much joy from that, really. So unfortunately, it's got to be people that can afford to pay.
That's a great idea, to have the funds to help young mothers so we can help them and the children. That's a beautiful, beautiful idea. I love that.
Because I tried, is it House Chat? Is it House Chat?
Oh, I don't know them. I don't know this.
I went online, and it was from the States, really, most of the ones were. And I went on to ask, if there was any people that wanting to help some families and things, but you wait there for hours. I went at 6 a.m, and I didn't get a slot till about 7:45, so it was long. And you only have like a minute slot to do that, and that's what I tried.
So, okay, yeah, I'll try to have a banner on my website. So, because I have a lot of women and a lot of mothers that they might be interested in, and entrepreneurs, of course. So they might be interested. And I have another question for you about, you mentioned earlier about mentoring. What is the difference between coaching, mentoring, and counseling?
Right. Well, coaching is the person has to come with a goal. And it has to be a goal that they 100% want to commit to and work with. And it can be anything. It can be, as I said, building confidence. It could be having an ambition or a dream that they want to put into reality, like I did. I wanted to be a coach. So I decided I wanted to go to study and do things like that. And the coaching, you have to be willing to be 100% committed, work with it, and all the ideas, all the options, all the decisions come from the person that I'm coaching. I ask the questions which makes them think and come up with these ideas, but I'm non-judgmental, and I don't give any support, advice, or anything like that. It's all their knowledge, their ideas that they come up with. Counselling is usually for someone who's had a lot of trauma, could be anything. It could be trauma from a loss of a loved one, an illness. It could be anything. It could be mental health, and they need a medical person as well, who's the counsellor, knowledge. So they will very delicately support them, explore with them, and not necessarily allow them to make the decisions. It would be more the counsellor who would make the decisions for them. Mentoring, which is what I've done with the teenagers and their parents, because teenagers like to become involved with, obviously you can't say to them, we've made this decision and this is what you're going to do. It doesn't work with teenagers. So mentoring is when you work together with the family, and again, the family make up what they want to talk about. I will talk to them and say to them, right, you've got problems with Danny, what is it? And they'll say, oh, he's not listening to us, he's quite abusive, blah, 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 blah. So I said, okay, that's fine. So then what I would do was I would set up a meeting first on Zoom, these will be, to talk, say, for about 5-10 minutes between all the family that will become involved on their own, to see what they want to discuss, what is the problem they feel they're having with their parents. And then they make notes, say 3 or 4 things which are important, and then they all come together, and I sort of sit and allow them all time to be heard, to speak individually, not talked over, to be respected. And then they come up with an agreement at that first session of, right, I'm responsible for this, or we're all responsible for this. And then the idea is that they don't talk about it anywhere else other than the sessions that we have, and they just get on with doing what they've agreed to do. And again, it's giving them control but I'm there to sort of make sure that it's peaceful, as it were. And they know that if it gets out of hand, then we just cut the session off and things.
Yeah. So you include all of them, the aspects of coaching, mentoring, and counseling to your method?
I don't do counselling. I just do coaching and I do mentoring.
And another question I have for you is about spirituality. Do you somehow integrate spirituality to your coaching techniques?
I think I do, because I think I'm all connected to Reiki, and I'm connected as a holistic therapist. It's been with me for so long. I think it's just the way I talk with people and families, as I did in my previous job for over 20 years. I mean, I'm not sort of tapping myself on the shoulder, but they always used to say to me, "We love you coming in the house. We feel so calm when you're here. We feel so positive. We just feel safe. We feel open to share things with you." So there must be, I mean, even though I remember one lady, she had two, the big dogs, the ones that the pit bulls. But her pit bulls were old. They were like 10 and 12 at the time. But anyway, she had such an experience with social workers. She had cameras outside the house and cameras all in the house. And they were saying to me, "Oh, she's a mad woman, she's this, and she films everything." I said, "Well, I've got nothing to hide in my practice." And I went in, and one of the dogs came, because the dogs used to bark and attack and everything. And one of the dogs came to the door when she opened the door. And I just put my hand out to it, and it just sat down on the floor. And she went, "What?" And then I said, "Can I come in?" And I went, "Fine." And then this other dog came along, and we had two couches, and I sat on one couch, and the dogs couldn't get to me quick enough, and they both sat on either side of me and popped their heads in my lap. And she just said, "I've never seen this." And I said, "Well, I'm not frightened of animals. I like animals." And she said, "But they've never behaved like that." And it was really funny, but obviously they just picked up a vibe from me. And I think that was to do with my spirituality, my Reiki, how I think, what I give off, I think.
We're almost at the end. I do have a few more questions for you, Kathy. Before I ask you the ending questions, would you like to add anything else?
No, I just feel that it's been a really positive interview. I've never done a podcast before, so this is great.
a great start, yeah, on that.
Thank you.
Wonderful to know. And my ending questions, how do you define success these days? What is to be successful to you?
Success? I don't think that really exists, to be quite honest. Mm-hmm. I think that's a very materialistic word, because success can be... I mean, some people think it's business, making money, having flash cars, I think for me, success for me would be just being happy, being healthy in my body, and having loved ones and friends near me. I think that would be success for me. That's the richness I feel in life for me.
And two more questions. What is another word for healing?
Love.
Yes, really fast too. And my last question is, what are 3 things about life you wish everyone to know or to experience before they lose the body?
That it's possible to change, but you have to love yourself. You're not alone. There's always someone there that will reach out for you. You just have to ask. And although you might not feel things will get better, they will.
Thank you so much, Kathy, for your presence, for the wisdom you share, the work you do, helping, healing others, and everything else in between that could be felt today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, too.
And before we say goodbye, where can we find more information about you, your services, products, and future projects?
Right, I have a website. It's called life-coach-changing. So I've gone blank here.
Yeah, I have it. I think I have it.
If you got it there.
Yes, I have. So it's life-change-coaching.co.uk. Yes. And I'll have the link on your podcast profile too, so
Thank
people
you
can
very
just
much.
click. Thank you so much, Kathy. We'll talk soon. Bye for now.
Thank you, lovely. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. To learn more about Kathy Bowers and her work, please visit life-changing-coaching.co.uk.
To learn more about this podcast, please visit fitforjoy.org/podcast. Thank you again for listening, and bye for now.